Fantasy football universe, welcome to another episode of the Devy Planet. If you've been joining us, you know we're going conference by conference, giving you our rankings and our top 10 players from each conference. And as you know, we're heading into the Big 12. All that right after our intro.
Welcome to the Devy Planet. The Devy Planet. The Devy Planet.
Spencer, my guy, how's it going?
It's going great, man. We got a good conference tonight. Excited to talk about it.
Sorry.
Had a good Memorial Day weekend. Can't come. Life's good, man. Life's good.
There you go. I was going to ask that. How's Memorial Day weekend? That's always great. We asked it behind the scenes, but asking for the audience too. Glad you had a good one. I hope everyone had a great Memorial Day weekend, enjoying the 4-day work week. We're halfway there already, so that's always good to know. But yeah, man, excited to dive into this conference with everyone just because, we've talked about different ones. We've gone through different conferences already. We talked about the SEC, right? Talked about our top players there, really how the SEC is just stacked. And we could have honestly done a 4-series show just on the SEC top 10 by position, really. We could talk about their tight ends. That's how dominant they can be. Then we went into the Big 10, talked about how they're growing, and they actually had the quarterbacks that I wasn't really aware of at the time until we did the show. Where it's like they had a lot of 5-star quarterbacks in that conference that we talked about, which was exciting. Also, of course, Jeremiah Smith and some other good wide receivers and a running back in there that we mentioned as well. Then we moved to the ACC. This is where we started getting, it gets a little tough talking about our top players and, figuring out who's really on top there. The ACC really kind of separated itself as far as we had 4, quarterbacks. We had 4 running backs. We had, 4 wide receivers as well. It's kind of split up pretty evenly. Now, though, we're going into the Big 12. And, when I started watching college football, I really enjoyed the Big 12 because I was originally from Houston, so Texas was my team. I remember seeing Vince Young in the Rose Bowl. That was when the Big 12 was on fire, going dominant and doing great. Slowly but surely, it kind of felt like it was getting weaker, and we see Texas, A&M, Oklahoma, other schools, they're leaving the conferences. They're getting some teams in their conference. The Big 12 isn't what it was 10, 15 years ago, but there is tons of talent in the Big 12 as well. And that's really what we're going to dive into today. Anything that excites you about the Big 12 before we get into it?
No, I mean, I think that, as you said, there's definitely been a little bit of a hemorrhaging of talent, but I think there's some really, really good talent at top of this conference, and it's still showing out. It's coming back. So,
for sure,
it's the Power Four is still the Power Four. They're not exactly the bottom tier, but of that grouping, I think that they were definitely the hardest to find our future stars once you got past the first few.
Yeah, and why we're doing this is because obviously in Devy drafts, we can't all get first round picks. We can't all get. Hopefully, everyone gets one unless you trade it. The second round picks, third round picks. So the Big 12, there's some guys in here that I think have first round potential in the NFL. There's some guys in here that I think could possibly, depending on your Devy league, go in the first round of your Devy drafts. But a lot of these guys, it might be your late Devy sleepers. So this is what excites me about the Big 12 is there's a lot of guys that might not have that oomph or that hype as other conferences have those players. But in here, it's really like, okay, there's some guys that even in your rookie drafts, you get late third or early fourth, fifth round type of picks that if they hit, they have the opportunity because they have the talent. So without further ado, let's get into our quarterbacks first. And we're really going to start with the quarterback out of Arizona State that kind of took the nation by storm last year. And that's Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt. Now, he was 6'2", 200 pounds, draft eligible this upcoming year in 2026. 4-star to 247 composite rate. Last year, he played in 13 games, started 13 games, 61.4% completion, 2,820 yards, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 9.3 ADOT, and 19 sacks. When you look at Sam Leavitt, we're going to talk about one of his wide receivers later. When you look at Sam Leavitt, what do you like and dislike about his game?
I really love Sam Leavitt. I feel like he's got this moxie to him. I don't know how else to describe it. When you saw him in the college playoffs, he just had a game where it was a Baker Mayfield like that, just that swagger that he carries himself with. And I really love that kind of energy. That's what you want in a quarterback. He also, I mean, he's got a really strong arm. He's pretty mobile in the pocket, and he's got great field awareness. And again, I think during the regular season, it was sort of like, okay, he's pretty solid. He's got some tools. He's got pretty good intermediate accuracy and short area accuracy. Could work on the deep ball. And then we get to the playoffs, and he just stepped up in the brightest lights, and I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I look for that in a quarterback. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts? I mean, I think.
No, I mean, first the playoffs. You bring that up. You're right. I mean, because sometimes you get some of the big time players that they choke when the spotlight's on them, right? And he actually came out and showed out. They did it advanced, right? But he still did really good, and he has you brought up his short and intermediate passes. That's really where he shines because he is someone that can evade the pressure when it's coming to him. But he's also someone that has a nice arm to throw those darts, if you will. He knows how to throw the bullet. So he's the quarterback that when he's evading, if he sees his guys open, he could throw in those tight windows. Now, you mentioned the deep ball accuracy. That is something he needs to work on. But I know we talk about arm strength a lot, but in reality, if you can just move the chains on those short and intermediate, yeah, it's good to throw deep every now and again and make those big plays. You always want that. But if you could just move the chains like Sam Leavitt can, then there's opportunity for success there at that level. Now, 6'2", 200, not the best size, but he doesn't need that. He doesn't need to be big. He's mobile enough to escape, mobile enough to extend the plays, and he could also help his wide receivers in the long run because he can throw on the run. He is actually pretty good at it. And the 24-6 touchdown interception ratio is really good. That accuracy showed out. Shows he's not making careless mistakes. Now, yeah, it's going to take some time. We'll see what he does this year. Scalaboo's not looking right this year, so it's going to be even bigger to see who takes up the reign because you watch the games, it's like, okay, Scalaboo was a big part of that offense for him. So now it's going to be similar to what Jackson Dart kind of did when Quinten Junkins left Ole Miss. Jackson Dart had to step up and be like, all right, I'm the guy to take the reins and be the leader here. That's what Sam Leavitt's going to have to do here, with Arizona State losing their top premier running back. It was kind of a do-it-all running back as well, right? So there's going to be some big things there for him. Now, when we say that, what are your thoughts on potential as draft capital for him? Like, do you see potential first-round talent for him, or is there opportunity for him to stick? Is he more of a sleeper for you?
Right now, I have a mid-round one. And I think by the end of this year, we could be talking about him as a potential, the number one guy. Okay. He needs to take
and NFL or rookie picks.
Yeah, NFL.
Okay.
No, yeah, I mean NFL. Sure. I really think, I really think he's got everything that teams are looking for. I could see that rise if they make another run. To me, the Arizona State has a good chance to be the best team in the Pac-12 again. But I really think he's got a solid chance to be the number one pick next year. He's got some work to do, but at the very least, I could see top 10. It reminds me a lot of like the Bo Nix. You know what I mean? If he can put up a good statistical season, people might be surprised, but he's going to get that draft capital, I think. What about you?
Jamison Jackson's saying Richard. I'm not really sure what he means by Richard there. If he's I don't know what he means, Richard, there. But hello, Jason. Thanks for joining here. Love Sam Leavitt. Thanks, Dustin. Shout out my guy at the Empire Elite FF. If I did that on X, I apologize. But love to see you on here, man. Thanks for joining. What's your comp for Leavitt? Sorry if I missed it. So I'll answer yours first, then we'll get to Dustin's here. But what I like about first round talent, with being the Big 12, if he can come out and win the Big 12 again, sure. I think that's there because when you talk about a conference champion, there's opportunity for that there, but he definitely needs to win it. Like if they don't win the Big 12, then I don't see first round talent. And at that point, it's like, okay, he may slide. Now he can go out there and have a great combine, have great interviews, and that'll rise it there. But for him to have the shot pre-combine, they have to at least win out because the Big 12 is one of your underrated conferences as far as the Power Four. They need to go out there and show out again. He needs to dominate again. Without Scalaboo, it's like, okay, can you take control of that offense there? Now, to Dustin's point, you kind of said that swagger with Baker Mayfield. Would that be your comp for him? Because I really think of a comp for him.
I think that in terms of like the personality, to me, it's Baker, but the play style is a little more Brock Purdy to me, where he's mobile enough to move around. He's pretty good at throwing on the run. Doesn't have the strongest arm, but he can make every throw.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I see. I think he's a little more mobile than Brock and has a little bit less good of a sense for throwing, and he's definitely a better prospect than Brock was coming out. But
Yeah.
in terms of that one-to-one to the game, kind of like Baker and Brock had a kid.
Yeah, there you go. So it's Brock Mayfield is who Sam Leavitt is here. Really, I mean, I think about it, he kind of similar to Jackson Dart for me. Outside of the arm strength as well,
Yeah.
like Dart has I think Dart's arm is underrated, but the play style as far as what they're doing in the pocket when they're in the moment, they both have that composure. They both don't really panic when under pressure. They kind of know if they need to escape or if they need to throw those bullets. And Leavitt kind of does that for me as well. So I would say more of a Dart minus that full arm there, or Purdy with the anticipated throws. You can see that. There you go. But no, I absolutely love that. I think he's someone that, we'll be talking a lot about, especially because, as I mentioned, we'll talk about one of his wide receivers later on. But Leavitt's going to do some great things, and I think they're a favorite to possibly win the Big 12 over here again. But we still have some quarterbacks on the board that we're talking about in the Big 12. And next one is actually someone I think you're either in or you're out on him when we talk about this one. That's going to be Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson. Now, 6'2", 195, so slightly a little less than what Leavitt was. Draft eligible this upcoming year, 2026. 4-star and 247 composite rates. 2024 stats, 13 games played, 13 games started, 57.5 completion, just over 2,700 yards thrown, 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, 9.4 ADOT, and 11 sacks. What do you like and dislike about Avery Johnson?
I mean, you got to start with the mobility with Avery Johnson. I mean, he runs as good as any quarterback in the league. He could be he's up there kind of with your Lenore Sellers as terms of rushers. He's a little more quick and nimble than a Sellers, who's a little more powerful. But
Might be a better.
I think he might be a better rusher. Now,
he
also, I mean, you look at the touchdown to interception ratio, the ADOT. He's got a decent arm.
Right.
But then you look at the completion and the inconsistency, and that shows up when he's playing too. He has inconsistent arm angles. He's got inconsistent footwork, so he doesn't always find his guys. But what you love about Avery Johnson is the potential that if he can find that arm and get to that next level, become a Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, that level of passer. Now, those guys are obviously at this point they've become great, but even just when they start out. An average passer with great legs, he could be a difference maker, especially for your fantasy rosters moving forward.
Yeah,
and for an NFL team. So
100%.
You love that. He's got a lot of work to do, but I mean, are you in on Avery Johnson? Are you out?
Man, as far as a quarterback prospect, I'm out on him. Now I will say when I first started getting to Devy, I was when I started watching really into the film and it was Kansas State I was watching, I honestly thought he was the running back for the team. I thought he was all the plays I saw of the running game, I was like, wait, is this the running back? Then I was like, wait, he's throwing this. Is he the quarterback or what's going on here? But reason being, I just don't know. You brought up the arm and the mobility, and I don't know if the arm is good enough. Yes, he could be a mediocre arm, and he does have that. But I don't know if it's not his mobility is good, but it's not Lamar Jackson good, where you're arguing. I just brought up, I thought he was the running back. There was first 5 years of NFL, people were saying Lamar Jackson needs to be the running back. He was a better quarterback. I don't know if Avery Johnson has that kind of zip on his throws that what Lamar Jackson did. And I'm not comparing them at all. They're two separate players. But the mobility is there that he could definitely be a playmaker for him. Kind of think of it as like a Taysom Hill. I'm not confident, but in the sense of more of a wildcat type of quarterback, a guy that could be plugged in there, not your every down quarterback though. So a team that will get him will draft him to have a wildcat type of formation or to throw just a very short, quick slant pass. But I don't think they're going to be using him to be a franchise type of quarterback. But he's someone that I think he could go in there and make plays on the 3rd and 10, 3rd and 5, anything like that, and make a good play because you have to watch out. Hey, is he going to run it? Because you mentioned that short and nimbleness. Yeah, he does have that. Or he's also showing that he is very quick. I mean, honestly, I do think he's a better rusher than Lenore Sellers. I love Lenore Sellers, but just as far as the rushing standpoint, if I'm watching both of them, if they're doing the exact same play, I think Avery Johnson's going to get there faster than Lenore Sellers. He just has those quick feet to him. So in that sense, I get it. But as far as the overall prospect, there's other players on his team that I might be more into for him. But again, you think about it, if you go to the wide receivers or running back, is that because Avery Johnson's good? And that's a question I'm probably going to be asking myself this whole season when I'm watching this tape in this season to say, okay, what's he doing to improve? Because right now, I see him as a wildcat quarterback. I don't see him as a franchise quarterback at this time, and I want to see that. You want to see that for everybody, but right now I don't see him as that every down quarterback that I want at that next level. So when it comes to Devy, I'm taking it. C2C though, he's gonna be a stud.
Yeah.
JB, always a pleasure to see you, my guy. What up? Remind us your
Jamie?
show. I know you got your show coming on too, but thank you for dropping in. Now he saw that C2C all over him because he's gonna light it up. But Devy, later round, sure, if you want to, but Devy, it might be something where I might be a little bit off on him. Gus, I'm recording, so I'll check y'all replay. Keep grinding. Hey, JB YouTube, man, appreciate you joining in. Now, our next quarterback here, we could talk about this quarterback the same way as far as similarities. This is Colorado transfer quarterback Kaidon Salter. Now, he's 6'1", 200 pounds, 2026 draft eligible, 4-star to 247 composite rates, 2024, 11 games played, 11 games started, 55.7 completion, 1,875 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 11.9 ADOT, and 20 sacks. What are your thoughts on Kaidon Salter?
Dude, I have no idea what to make of Kaidon Salter because
Thanks, Jamie.
you go back 2 years ago, and he was electric at Ole Miss. I mean, he stepped in for Malik Willis after Malik Willis went to the draft, and he was probably the best quarterback in college.
Liberty.
Or Liberty, sorry, you're right. Not Ole Miss. Very, very different. Very, very different.
I started thinking, I was like, wait, did he play at Ole Miss? I missed that game.
I got my colors. My colors were
for sure.
each other in their head. No, so he was at Liberty, and he steps in. He's got to be one of the best quarterbacks in college. And then last year was a disaster. I mean, you could tell from the stats it was up and down. Still some things to like. He threw it deep and intermediate more often than not. Mm-hmm. He didn't turn the ball over all that much. He does have a little bit of a fumble problem. But he's mobile, and now he steps into Colorado, which is shown to be able to elevate, I think, who you are as a passer. Yeah. And he brings a rushing and mobility dynamic that they lacked with Shedeur Sanders. Right. It's a good wide receiver room. It's Deion knows how to coach these guys up. So I'm still in a little bit and hopeful, but he doesn't have the strongest arm for sure, and that's something that's going to hold him back. But in terms of the Big 12 as a prospect, I think there's a very real chance he could be a day 3 guy. Yeah. Maybe even a day 2. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about Kaidon Salter and that whole Colorado situation he's stepping into?
So I do think Kaidon Salter has a nice touch to his throws. Did we see it last year? Not 100%. But that's the thing about Devy. You can't take it year by year. And I know sometimes in draft stocks, you see the guy have one excellent year. You're like, oh, this guy's a stud. And you don't pay attention to the past, right? Kaidon Salter, you have to go 2 years back to see, okay, what did he do? He took a slump that second year. Now he's in Colorado. Now, the biggest thing is he's on a hot seat with Kaidon Salter. He's not the guaranteed starter. They have a solid 5-star freshman in Juju Lewis in there that could potentially be the starter for them as well. Kaidon Salter is obviously the veteran. I think he's the one that could step in day 1 and be it. Camp, things can change, all that. But he's definitely got to prove it game after game, right? If you talk about any bad game that Shedeur Sanders had, there wasn't as short of a leash on, because really you look at their backups, there wasn't much out there. Kaidon Salter right behind you, my guy, is a 5-star prospect that's ready to take the field. So any kind of slump, if it's multiple games, chances are you're getting benched, especially because you're that veteran. Now, again, I do like his touch on his throws. I do like his mobility as well. He's also someone that can escape. I want to see a little bit more of that evading from him, because I think that's going to do well in the Big 12. You have some solid linebackers in there that have that speed to get to you in the backfield. So this 55.7 completion, that can't really go well. So he's got to do a lot more and not making simple mistakes or bad throws. He's got to finesse his touch a lot more. It's good. He's got to finesse it a lot more, especially when you go deep, because he has that arm that can make those solid throws down the field. It's just going to be, is he going to have the ball placement for the wide receivers? Because a lot of times, if your wide receivers aren't up to par, you have to be on the money every single. You can't rely on them to go out there and make that play. You have to say, hey, I see it going to be right there at the 50-yard line. I'm going to throw it on the dot in that 50-yard line. I think he can do that, but at the same time, there's going to be more pressure on him this year in the Big 12 against tougher linebackers that will be able to get around the field, cover his tight ends, some solid defensive backs, things of that nature to really get at to him. So as far as the Devy prospect, I do – he's kind of in the same boat with Avery Johnson. I do like him. I have him more than Avery Johnson just because of what I saw in previous years at Liberty with his arm. I think he can do that. You brought up Malik Willis, which I'm happy you did that because Malik Willis definitely had the stronger arm. Malik Willis had a phenomenal arm. But I think Kaidon Salter is a better overall quarterback in all the tools and everything. Kaidon Salter, I think, has a smarter IQ just as far as making those plays, has a better idea of when to escape the pocket, a better idea of when to throw short or when to make those deep throws. I think he definitely has that, where Malik Willis, I think he relied on his arm a lot to throw those shots downfield and kind of, hope his wide receivers brought it down as well. So I do like him, but there is some definitely growing things in there as well.
Yeah, I want to give the stats for that electric 23 just to give some context because we keep talking about it. People may not know. Yeah. He led the Sousa in. We had 32 passing touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He, it was 9.9 yards per attempt. He led the Sousa in quarterback rating, and then on top of that, he had 1,000 rushing yards at 6.7 a carry for 12 touchdowns. I mean, he was a dynamic player that year.
Yeah.
Last year I think it was half the rushing yards, half the touchdowns. Interceptions stayed the same. I mean, it's just one of those things where you have to wonder what happened there. Right. And if he can get back to that form and do it at a place like Colorado, I think there's a real chance he gets pretty decent draft capital.
And you brought the touchdowns, 32 you said, I think?
Last 32.
Now you have 15 this past year. The benefit that's horrible going half, just cutting completely in half. But at the same time, interceptions stay the same. So it's not like he was forcing more, making more of the interceptions. They stay the same. So yes, the touchdowns went down, but it didn't mean his errors went up. It was just he just couldn't get it out there. And he just wasn't slinging it as much to get those kind of touchdowns out the gate as well. So a lot of things to really come for him to show out. And transferring's great for him because this is going to be an opportunity. You're going to a team that has national coverage at this point with Coach Prime there, but at the same time, as I mentioned, a 5-star prospects there. If bad things happen, the fans are going to be yelling for Kaidon Salter's head and saying, hey, bring in Juju at that time as well. So he's got to really step it up there. Now, it's really juicy when we talk about the Big 12 quarterbacks. This next one is actually another one. This is BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff. Now, he's 6'1", 205 pounds, draft eligible in 2027, 247 composite rate, 3-star ranking. Last year, 13 games played, 13 games started, 57.6 completion, just under 2,944 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 11.1 ADOT, and 17 sacks. What are your thoughts on Jake?
I really like Jake Retzlaff as a gamer. He's one of those guys that you watch him play, and he elevates this offense in spite of the fact that, as you see from those numbers, he's not doing anything special. Yeah. But it seemed like in the big moments, every big game, he stepped up, he showed out. And there was definitely talent on display. I don't think the receiver room is the best there. Okay. And I think they created a lot of the errors that you see. But he's got good mobility. He seems to have good awareness. I think this year he needs to step up numbers-wise, or he'll just be, he'll be a UDFA. A team will want to get that personality in the locker room. Yeah. Because he really is a leader. That BYU team way outperformed their talent last year, and he was a huge part of that. But I think he's an all right kid. I think he's a good prospect. I really do like him. It sounds like I'm poo-pooing all over him.
No,
I really do like him. So I think he could be a true leader in a locker room and potentially, again, he takes a step forward this year. He'll be a, day 2, maybe even a day 1 pick.
Right.
I guess, what are your thoughts on Jake Retzlaff?
Well, when it comes to BYU quarterbacks, people might have that nasty taste in their mouth because of Zach Wilson, right? Because Zach Wilson was such a high prospect, went so high, hasn't done much in the NFL. Jake, in my opinion, out of the 4 quarterbacks we talked about, Jake has the strongest arm. I think he definitely has that. His ball placement could be a little bit better, but he could definitely throw 50, 60 yards in a blink and not even hesitate about it. Just zip it down there. So I do love that. We see that with kind of the yards. I think he just needs to get a better feel for the game, and that's really my only downstalk on him is I think he, going into it is like, okay, here's how we understand it. Slow down the game. A lot of times you get these players going into college and it's a lot quicker than what they were used to. Slow it down, understand it. I think year 2, we're going to see a step up. He might get over 3,300 yards this season. We might see that completion percentage go up a little bit more because he's being more self-aware, and he has a year under his belt going there to say, okay, now we're going into more understanding of what's going to happen during this game for him as well. So I absolutely loved what he did this past year as far as just going in there and, 3-star. He doesn't need to go to the moon or anything like that, but I think he has capability of making BYU a threat again this year, as they were last year. When you play them, people may write them off when they play them, but you have a quarterback like Jake that is self-confident in the pocket, that does have the composure in the pocket, that can throw that bomb 50, 60 yards and make those kind of big-time plays. That's where some teams need to be aware of and teams need to start being afraid of, because I think Jake does have that capability of potentially leading BYU to a Big 12 championship as well. Mobile, he does have it. He's not the most mobile of the guys we talked about, probably the least mobile of the guys we talked about. But again, he does have the strongest arm. So it's really picking your apples. Do you want the guy that has more mobility or the guy that has less, or do you want the guy that has the better arm and arguably the better ball placement than some of them, than the guy that has less? So I do like him as a prospect. I think he could do some wonders, but we're definitely got to see what he does this season, if he elevates or if he stays consistent or if he drops a little bit. But it's really all up in the air for him and BYU, because I think every year they're not talked about as enough as they should be, but they're definitely a threat. They're definitely a challenge for any team that tries to face them as well. So those were our quarterbacks, though. The quarterbacks were kind of bunched up. We're getting into our rankings at the very end of the show, so you'll see where we have some of these guys ranked. But the quarterbacks, for me, on some of these guys, they're really dart throws. Like in Devy drafts, I might take them later. And by later, I might mean like 6th or 7th round. The Big 12 quarterbacks for me are better C2C assets than they are Devy assets. Like I would love to have him on my college team that gets points. But as far as Devy, there might be some of their positional players in the Big 12 that'll take over some of these guys. But speaking on that, number one guy that we're going to talk about, he's really the talk of the town at this time, is Arizona State wide receiver Jordyn Tyson. Talk to us a little bit about Jordyn Tyson, because I know you love this guy a lot there as well.
Yeah, you got Jordyn Tyson. So he's 6'1", 195, kind of your ideal wide receiver size. He's a 2026 guy. Came in as a 3-star, I believe, at Colorado before transferring over. So in 2024, he had 12 games played, 12 started, 66.4% reception rate, 1,098 yards, 441 of those yards were after the catch. He had 10 touchdowns, a 12.68 OT, 66.7% on his contested catches, which is a great reception rate there. Okay. And 50.3% of his snaps were out wide, kind of moving in and out. So I'll let you start. Talk to me about Jordyn Tyson.
Yeah, man. I mean, the versatility is there, right? Whenever you see someone at 56.3, 55.2, snaps out wide, snaps out the slot, you saw that versatility means they're getting played everywhere. What really stands out is the 67.7 contested catches, because he's not the biggest wide receiver, right? He's not your 6'3", 6'4", 200-pound guy, but he plays with physicality, and that's what I really love. He has had some injury concerns. I think that's his only knock, really, because he might be one of the best route runners in this next class coming up. He has so much crispness to his routes. He knows how to really cut people. And what I mean cut, like a paper cut, that's how sharp his routes are when he runs them. Very, very good at making his routes known. I'm curious to see what his route tree is. Need to dive deeper into that, but I feel every one of them should be in the green, every single route. That's how good he is when he does it. 12.68 up, fantastic. 441 yards after the catch, amazing. I absolutely love him. I think he's a great prospect, and he's probably these that say, "How's it going, Dynasty Dogs in the house?" Woo-hoo. There you go. Now, when it comes to it, I absolutely love him, and I think he's arguably one of the guys that might be a first round, not only 2026 rookie drafts, but also in the NFL. What are your thoughts on Jordyn Tyson?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, on that note, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go top 15. To me, he's an extremely complete receiver. Mm-hmm. He's got great awareness on the boundary. As you said, his route running, he gets all 3 levels. He runs great routes. He can move in and out.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things. It's, dare I say, like a Justin Jefferson light.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say it. I was gonna say if you
Yeah.
weren't, so I like it.
Yeah. No, I mean, just, obviously he's nowhere near that level of player. No one is. But that's the thing. No one is. But in terms of how Justin Jefferson plays, he can move in and out. He makes the
Yeah.
contested catches. He also gets open. He knows his boundary. He can, moss a guy if he needs to, even at a little bit slightly less than, he's not 6'3", 240. But he's 6'1", 195. That's exactly what Jefferson is, and he played.
Yep.
You can tell he modeled his game like that. The injury
Yep.
concerns are real, and the later breakout is real. He's, but the injury concerns, I will say, it's just one ACL tear, which he came back from. It took him a little longer, but he came back from it, and then the collarbone at the end of last year, which sort of a freak thing. It's not going to have any long-term effects. So.
Okay.
Obviously, if he blows another ACL, then you're in a danger zone. That's a
Okay.
tough one. We see that wide receivers do come back better than running backs from that, so I'm a little less concerned. And again, he was great last year, so I expect to step up because he really played amazing the second half of the year. I mean, that's the thing about these numbers that really stands out to me is most of them came in 7 games.
Yeah.
And that's absurd.
No, 100%. And with the wide receivers, it's more worried about the hamstring. When you see a hamstring injury, you gotta start being wary. But ACLs, you mentioned, it's easier for them to bounce back. You brought Justin Jefferson. I'm thankful you did because I was actually starting to think like, is he this year's Justin Jefferson in the sense of like maybe he isn't the first wide receiver off the board, but he probably is the best wide receiver on the board. I mean, we could debate who it is here and there. There's guys we could talk about, out of Big 10, out of SEC, out of even the ACC, if you will. But he might be the best one. Again, the route tree I think is one of the better ones in the class. And I'm just thinking about. I feel his routes are sharper. They're not as smooth as Jefferson, but I feel they're definitely sharper. Like what he does, man, when he does a slant route, like you feel the point when he makes the cut. Like you feel that cut, and you're like, if there's a DB there, he just got cut. Like he has to check, make sure he's not bleeding. That's how sharp it is when he's running. And so, absolutely love Tyson. I think he's gonna do some great things there at that next level. And just really step it up. Again, bearing a setback with injury, he's gonna be someone that we're gonna be talking about as a first round prospect. You said top 15. Hey, I like that. I'm with that. So, but he's not our only wide receiver that we're talking about in the Big 12 here. We do have another one here, and this is going to be wide receiver out of Kansas, Jayce Brown. Jayce Brown is a name I think could rise up some boards as well. But talk to us a little bit about our guy out of Kansas State.
Yeah, so Jayce Brown, he's 6 foot, 179. He's another 2026 guy. He's a 3-star coming out. Last year in 13 games, 12 started. He had a 63.5% reception rate, 820 yards, 278 of those were after the catch. He had 5 touchdowns, a 14.3 ADOT, which is a little higher than I expected. 50% of his contested catches, also higher than I expected. And 76.9% of his snaps from the slot. So Jayce Brown, maybe a name a little less known here. What do you think?
One thing that really stood out for me with Jayce Brown was his start-stop ability. He was really good at stopping on his routes, and then once he gets it, accelerating back after it to make those plays after. He's not the best when it comes to making the fairest miss in open space, but he can make it happen. He has reliable hands, probably one of the better hands in the whole conference that we're talking about here today. And he'll go out there and fight for it. I mean, 50% contested catch. You kind of see that there, especially with his size. A little bit undersized. So think not as aggressive as Zay Flowers, but think of that kind of play style where he's undersized. He knows he's undersized. Granted, Zay Flowers was less than 6 feet, but still undersized and knows he has to go out there and fight to make those, and he's going to make it happen. So for his quarterback in Avery Johnson, he's going to say, hey, throw my way, my guy, and I'll make sure we get the ball. That's not going to be an incompletion as well. So I do love the dog in him, if you will. I think he's going to be a solid wide receiver. As far as prospect-wise, you're probably looking at him. He might slip into day 2, back into day 2, but he's probably at day 3, unless he comes out and has a superb season. But I do like him as a prospect. I think he'll be a sleeper for you as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm really, really high on him. And I'm going to throw a comp out that I can't not see it, and it's Josh Downs.
Okay. Love it.
He's got that twitchy ability. He's really crisp in his routes, especially the short area. He's definitely a slot only guy. He's a little small, but he gets deep out of the slot pretty well. He's able to beat his man. I just think he fits the modern NFL really well.
Yeah.
And as you said, he's not the most wiggly after the catch, but he's really reliable. And if you give him space, he's fast enough to break free. And that's a big thing that I think he can bring to the next level. So I could see him being a target monster, or maybe he just slides in. He's a wide receiver 3 on a team, and he's just good. But I do think that there's safety in Jayce Brown, and there's upside if he can elevate his game just a little bit.
Josh Down's a great comp because Josh Down too has that dog in him, right? Where he's undersized, but he's just go out there and get it. And I think that's exactly what Jayce Brown is, as far as that dog, that mentality where it doesn't matter. I'm gonna make sure I go after the ball. Whether if I don't get it, the defender's gonna know that I was the one that they were going up against, because I'm gonna be aggressive and try to get it as well. So love that comp. That was a great comp there. Now, we talked about 2 smaller guys here. This next guy we're actually going to talk about is a little bit bigger here. And this is one that he's actually a transfer to of East Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. That's Iowa State's wide receiver, Jayce Sowell. So talk to us about Chase here.
So Chase Sowell he is a transfer, as you mentioned. He's 6'4", 195. He's another 2026 guy. A 3-star coming out. And last year, for 2024, he had 10 games played, 9 started. 58.6% reception rate, 674 total yards, 182 yards of those yards were after the catch. Only 3 touchdowns, but a 14.7% ADOT, 45.5% on his contested catches, which is, again, a pretty good number, and 91.7% of his snaps were out wide, a true outside receiver. I know you love this kid. Talk to me about Chase Sowell.
Yeah, no, I think he's a great prospect as far as just watching his game. I would have been in love with him if he was still at East Carolina. That's how much I loved him. But he's definitely a stretch wide receiver. With his size, he has a nice catch radius. I mean, you kind of see the arms there. He has that length there to him. Has good speed and could be a playmaker down the field. Now, he's like your every down type of wide receiver. I mean, as far as he's not the guy that's going to go out there and make defenders miss in open space. He's not doing all that kind of crazy stuff. He's not juking, doing it. He can do it here and there, but he's more just, hey, put me on a go route. Watch me just go out there and dominate over these guys as well. Just solid hands. Again, the catch race is really what's going to separate him from others. I think going to Iowa State, I mean, we saw Jaden Higgins season, even before the season started. No one's really talking about Jaden Higgins. We're more talking about Jaden Noel. Chase Sowell is now going to there, and guess what? He's going to fill that Jaden Higgins role. So if you love Jaden Higgins, I think this guy may be a little bit better. Now, Higgins might be a little bit faster, but Chase Sowell, I think, might be a better pass catcher overall. I want him to fine-tune his route running a little bit just to be more versatile in it, but he is going to be that true X zone that's really going to stretch the field. Really, in a sense, to me, almost like a Mike Williams. I know Mike Williams is a lot bigger, but really you don't think about Mike Williams as a solid route runner. You think of him as just a go guy. That's really what Chase Sowell comes down to me for, is really just that go type of wide receiver. But you call him big play Chase, because I think that's something that he can be at that next level as well. And we might see it more in the Big 12 with him going to Iowa State as well. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I mean, he's fallen into a perfect spot here. As you said, he's going to fill that Jaden Higgins role, that Xavier Hutchinson role. I mean, Iowa State's gotten these guys drafted, these 6'4", around 200-pound guys. They've got them drafted these last couple drafts. So, he's going to a place that can develop players of his size, which is, not every school can do. That's a plus. And as you said, he is a big play guy. He's not the fastest, but he gets deep, if that makes sense. He's that type of. He somehow creates that just foot of separation, and his arm length definitely helps with that too.
Right.
So, but I think Iowa State, what they do really well is they teach these guys who are bigger to use their size on the boundary, to come back on the ball and, use their size in different ways than, a lot of guys coming out this size just go downfield and beat the guy because they're bigger.
Right.
Teaches them how to play smaller, which I think will be really helpful for a guy of his talent. And how he plays. He needs that coaching, and he's going to get it. So I think he falls, for me, kind of in between Jaden Higgins and Xavier Hutchinson. So I could see late day 2, early day 3 in that 3rd to 5th round. Whereas, Jaden Higgins early round 2, Hutchinson round 6. So those two kind of put them
Yeah.
together. And I love Touch coming out. I was less high on Higgins coming out, and it's been
Same.
reversed into the draft capital. So
no,
we'll
no,
see. Yeah.
no, I agree. Right now, I think even if he had a big season, I don't know if he's again maybe sneaking into back there day two, but I think the
Yeah.
combine's gonna be what separated. I think that's what separated Higgins was he had a great
Yeah.
combine, and that kind of pushed him up. So I think that's got to be similar for Chase Sewell as well to have a great combine. He go out there and torch it, have 1,200 yards and 600-700 after the catch or something. Then maybe we're talking. But I think the combine's really gonna be the separator and him getting the heavy draft capital or just slipping into a day three or UDFA as well. Now these next two I feel were going deeper into day three prospects, but some good talent there when you come to these wide receivers. So this next one here is actually out of Texas Tech, and that's wide receiver Caleb Douglas. Now, Caleb Douglas, I think is a stud. But go ahead and talk to us a little bit about Caleb Douglas, Texas Tech as a big body wide receiver there.
Yeah. So Caleb Douglas, as you said, out of Texas Tech, he's 6'4", 205, so big size. He's a 2026 guy, 3-star coming out. 2024, he had 13 games played, 13 started, 61.5% reception rate, 884 total yards, 346 of those were after the catch, 6 touchdowns, a 12.8 ADOT, 31.6 on his contested catches, so not great. But 88.1% of his snaps were out wide. So I know Caleb Douglas is a guy you really love. Tell me why you love him.
No, I think because he's just that big play. He's an aggressive wide receiver. We do want to see more of the contested catches go up there, but he's someone that definitely uses his slides to make the plays when he gets them as well. He has some good yak ability as well. 346 out of 844 is good for his size as well. And that's what I do love about it. He knows how to make some things happen in the space for his size, something that he does a little bit better than what Chase Sowell does. I don't think he's the speediest. Again, he's more of an aggressive kind of runner, but yet he could go out there and get physical. And I think if he could find to that, if he could really catch at the high point with his size, he doesn't do that a lot. That's why we see those contested catches not all the way there, but he does use his strength and his size to the advantage to make bigger plays happen. Now, the contested catches, you get a more physical defensive back, it's going to be harder for him. He needs to get more aggressive in that sense. Again, using his length and his size to catch at the high point and make those plays. But again, when he has the ball, I'm okay with him in the open space because I think he can make defenders miss, and he'll go out there and make some big plays for you as well. So I have my eyes on him this year at Texas Tech as probably their ex and their star wide receiver there. What are your thoughts on him?
No, I mean, everything you said, I think is spot on. I almost wish they would move him to the slot more because, as you said, he is good after the catch. Like I think he'd dominate as a big slot, almost like Jalen Royals this last year.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
I kind of wish we could see that because he's really good after the catch. He's got a little bit of surprising wiggle. I almost wouldn't be surprised if he's a little smaller than his listed height because you don't see a lot of 6'4" guys have the wiggle he does. But
yeah.
Excuse me. We want to see him just step up a little bit more. I do think the contested catches, a lot of that was a little bit on the quarterback. So, if the quarterback play can get a little bit better and give him a better chance to make that play, that'll show up, I think, more often than it did last year. So there's definitely some upside here. As you said, I think a day 3 guy, but he could move up boards, especially if he tests well, which I think he probably will. I think he's a better athlete than you give him credit for here because you just see it. It shows up every once in a while. But
yeah, you brought the contested catches. I mean, you look at his reception rate, 61.5, and then you see the contested catches. You're like, something doesn't really match up there, right? When he's doing that good in receptions, but he has contested catches, especially with his size, there's something going on there. But again, I think he got knocked around a little bit against more physical defensive backs. So you want to see, again, him use that size a little bit more because he really did make his plays once he got it and doing some, yards after the catch there as well. So I want to see more aggressiveness from him, but I think there is a good opportunity for him to be a guy that ends up sliding in the draft, but he ends up becoming really reliable for a team down the stretch if they need just injuries banged up, and he's someone that can plug and play and really be it for them as well. So I do like what I see in him, and I think he could be someone that's a definite sleeper for you and your teams. Now, we do have one more wide receiver, and I actually more and more watch this kid. I like him a lot more as well. And we talked about his quarterback earlier. This is BYU wide receiver Chase Roberts. Now, again, the more and more I watch this kid on tape, the more and more I'm like, okay, I actually see this kid has some game here. But talk to us a little bit about Chase Roberts here.
Yeah, so Jayce Roberts out of BYU. He's 6'4", 210, 2026 guy again. He's a 3-star coming out, as you see a lot with these Big 12 kids.
Yeah.
His 2024, he had 13 games played, 13 games started, a 72.2% reception rate, 851 yards, only 202 after the catch, 4 touchdowns, 13 ADOT, 77.8% on his contested catches. And then 59.5% of his snaps are out wide, kind of moving in and out, playing the big slot, as I just said. So
Yeah.
talk to me about Chase Roberts. He said you love him. What do you love when you see him?
Man, more and more watch his tape. I'm like, this kid is reliable. He is silky in his routes, silky and smooth in his routes running. He moves with fluid motion. He has strength when catching the high point to bring the ball down, something we just talked about Caleb Douglas that he doesn't have. Chase Roberts does look more and more great. And honestly, I might be too low on him if I'm being honest. But he looks phenomenal. Really, when I was watching this game, the comp I was thinking of was Kevin Walter. Now, I don't know if people remember Kevin Walter back in Houston Texans, but he was a reliable wide receiver out of the slot. He was a guy that was a stretch wide receiver, went down there. You throw to him, he is making the plays, he's making big plays. I see that in Chase Robert. Now, you think about, okay, what does that do as far as a prospect wise? It means you get a reliable guy that is going to put up numbers for you week in, week out. That's exactly what I see in him. The stats don't stand out like crazy. He's not doing 851 yards. That's good, but it's not. You're not like, oh, this is amazing. 202 yards after the catch. Oh, he doesn't need to do all that in the open space because he's just getting down the field and making some big plays happen. 13 that he's going deep and he's making big plays happen. And he again, reliable hands and just so silky in his routes, man. I'm thinking about my ranks right now just as we're talking about it. I'm like, damn, I might be too low on him. But what do you think about Chase Roberts?
Yeah, it sounds like you're talking about a different BYU receiver. That's a little Buck and Nakua. No, I mean, Chase Roberts is, to me, he's that true old school 6'4", 210, go up and get it. But as you said, he's got a little knack for getting open. He's not the fastest guy, he's not the quickest guy, but he gets open. You're not sure how, he just is.
Yeah.
And I think comparing that reception rate to Retzlaff's overall completion percentage, he was down around 57%, but when he targeted Chase Roberts,
Yep.
when he targeted Chase Roberts, 72.2% reception rate.
Yeah.
So I think that tells you just how much better he is than the players around him, including, old Puka's younger brother, Tay,
Yeah.
sadly.
Yeah.
But, so as you said, this is a kid I got to watch a little bit deeper because, all the numbers are there. And, when you watched him last year, he really did stand out. But, this year could really be a year he steps up. He gets a little bit higher draft capital. I think we could be looking at a day 2 guy here reasonably.
Yeah.
If he can crack 1,000 yards, why not?
And I'm glad you brought up Puka because we're not saying this is the next Puka, but people slept on Puka, right? He was a day 3 guy. And he slept on him. Now you can't even trade the first for Puka Nacua straight up. That's but that's the value he has. Granted, capital or team landing spot matters. He went into a perfect fit in the Rams and everything like that. So does Chase Robert follow those same steps? Who's to say? But let's say he goes to a team that desperately needs that, right? You look at a team like the Texans that need a slot guy. I know they got Noel, but what if that doesn't pan on? He goes out there and again, my Kevin Walter comp. He is someone that just can be that guy, that reliable hands in the middle to really stretch and open the field up even more for the guys on the outside. So absolutely love him. I'm going to be watching him closely this season, see what he can do. Him and Jake, I think the sky's the limit for them. They could go beyond that. It's outer space. We're in the Devy planet. So this is an opportunity for them to actually really step up and get to that planet there for them. But absolutely love him. Now, I think if we're looking at our wider series, let me go back real quick here. We talked about him, 3-star. We talked about Brown, 3-star. We talked about, sorry, it's all messed up here on my side. Jayce, 3-star. We talked about Caleb, 3-star. We talked about Chase, 3-star. All 3-star prospects. But I want to throw out the star range. I put these on there so we know, hey, there's talent there. Like the star range are just there so people understand where they were coming out of high school. Because this where the transfer, like Chase some of them, I'm not exactly certain for Jayce Brown, but he transferred over. He might have been a 4-star in the transfer portal. But as far as coming out of high school, this was their prospect rating. And so I think there's opportunity for these guys as 3-star prospects to really make a name for themselves and really be great talent at that next level as well for them. So those were our 5 wide receivers we're talking about. Now we're going to go into some running backs, though. And our first running back is actually going to be Arizona State's running back, actually a transfer as well, 2-star prospect, Kanye Udoh. Now, Udoh's 6 foot, 215 pounds, 2026 eligible, 13 games played, 13 games started, 6.2 yards per carry, 1,111 yards, 620 yards after contact, 10 touchdowns, 32 missed tackles forced, and 2 fumbles. Talk to me a little bit about Kanye. Not easy, Kanye Udoh.
No, so Udoh, he's coming into a great situation here. As you see, he performed extremely well last year.
Mhm.
He comes over, not a lot of pedigree, but this guy's a gamer.
Yeah.
He really pushes through guys. He's a perfect fit back to get into that Scattaboo, that Scattaboo role where he's just
Yeah.
punting people. So he's definitely not as good a pass catcher, and the 2 fumbles, got to clean that up just a little bit.
Yep.
But I think he really is finding himself in a great situation. He's the ideal size. He's a pretty good athlete. He's not gonna run. Probably I doubt he has a touchdown over 60 yards in his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
But he's good enough to get those 20 to 30 yard chunk plays where he bowls over 2 guys and he's dragging them for 10 yards behind him. So
Yeah,
what
100%.
player he is. So a big physical runner. Talk to me
Yeah.
about Udoh as well.
No, yeah, I mean, you brought up Scalaboo, right? Well, we brought him up earlier too that they need that replacement there, or this would be Levitt's time. But Udo's really the full center back as far as just the pure runner. Scalaboo is a bowling ball, but also a great pass catcher, also someone that could get outside and have that speed. Udo's one that, as you mentioned, just want to punish people. Like he wants to just go straight up with you and be physical. You see that with the yards after contact and the missed tackles forced as well. He's gonna go out there and make some big plays happen. He really couldn't have landed in the perfect spot. He was at Army before, right? So now he's going to a place in Arizona State that knows how to utilize the run. Actually, does play short. They want to play closer to Sam Leavitt. Getting Jordyn Tyson open and let Jordyn Tyson do things. So he's really gonna benefit from that, especially if you talk about his pass catching abilities. He might get a little bit more opportunity because of how close they play to the chest. That they may say, "Hey, here's a quick dime out. Go do your thing," and that's something that he could really flourish in at that next level. So I do like his speed as well. I think he has some great speed, probably one of the faster. Actually, look at the board. We have one more guy that I think might be faster, but one of the faster running backs in the Big 12. And again, with the size, though, he may be more of a physical bruiser. Now, I don't see him as a full all-purpose back, but he could definitely be a 3-down back. All purpose mean I don't, pass catch. If you're using that, you might take him out. If you need him to block, I want to see him do a little bit better in the blocking. But if you just need a pure runner to go up the middle, that's where I think he can sign. He can also, take it outside a little bit here and there. But I think there's some great opportunity for him with Arizona State there as well. So absolutely do love Udoh. Now, our next guy here is actually going to be a guy from former RG3 school, I do believe, but Baylor Bears running back Bryson Washington. Now, he's 6 foot, 203 pounds, eligible 2026, 3-star composite rate on 247, 2024, 11 games played, 11 games started, 5.8 yards per carry, 1,035 yards, 727 yards after contact, 12 touchdowns, 29 missed tackles forced, and 2 fumbles. Talk to us about Bryson Washington.
I really like this kid. I'm really excited about what he can do. So as you see, his contact balance is, top tier. The missed tackles forced, he's not the most elusive, but you cannot bring him down. Guys just bounce off of him. The arm tackles, they don't work. He just keeps motoring. And at 203, that's a little surprising, you'd think. But what really is great about him is he's a really good pass catcher. I mean, he's out there running routes. He catches the ball and turns right upfield. He almost looks like a wide receiver out there, and that's that complete back that Bryson Washington brings, and he's got adequate speed. He breaks away. There's really not a thing that he does that I don't love, except for the pass protection, and he's a little dicey with his vision, and he's not the best athlete at lateral agility.
Yeah,
but he kind of does everything well in a way that I'm really interested on him. It's a little Alvin Kamara like actually.
Okay, I
In
like
terms
it.
of as a runner, he's not quite as good a pass catcher as Kamara is.
Right.
Out there, he looks like he could be he is the alpha receiver half of the time for the Saints.
Yeah.
Washington is more, but he could, I could see him playing in the slot a couple times.
Yeah.
So that type of player. Talk to me about Bryson Washington. Are you
I,
as excited as I am? Or are you going to put the cool
yeah.
of the Jets on?
No, I was actually going to say, out of the running backs we're going to talk about, I think he's the most versatile. I think he's going to be the one that's really the playmaker out of the bunch, in the sense that he could do a lot of things very well. We see it with the yards after contact. We see it with the yards per carry, the missed tackle force. He's actually going out there and doing it time after time after time, where that versatility really is key. He has nice footwork. He has nice speed. None of this is necessary elite level. Like, I don't think he's top tier, right? We talk about other conferences. There's definitely better running backs. When we talk about the Big 12, he might be the best of the bunch. And I absolutely love what I see in this game. I want to see what he does this year, right? Good size, 6 foot, over 200, right? Again, yards per carry is phenomenal. The yards after contact, as you mentioned, it's not about making defenders miss. It's just about having great contact balance, and they're just bouncing off of him. And that's something Bryson Washington does for his team, which is something you just need for them to be able to move the chains, right? You just need that type of running back that's just physical and not going down on first contact, and he's not doing it, right? You're tackling, and he's already 5-6 yards in, where he already has, moved the chains, and it's a first down. So now you have opportunity here for him to go out there and do more things at that next level, do a little bit more in the pass catching for sure. But when we talk about the other pass catchers, he might be the best of the bunch when it comes to pass catching abilities. So he's not the elite level, but he is very, very good. He's great. He's better than good. He's great at what he does, and I'm excited to see what he can do at this next level as well, because I think he could do some phenomenal things. Now, our next running back here, though, is actually, we talked about his wide receiver here. This is actually a transfer as well. Texas Tech running back Quinten Joyner. Now, he's 5'11", 216, draft eligible in 2026. This is one of our first 4-stars in the wall. 4-star prospect, 12 games played, 0 games started, 7.3 yards per carry, 465 yards, 288 yards after contact, 3 touchdowns, 22 missed tackles forced, and 2 fumbles. Talk to us a little bit about Quinten Joyner here.
Yeah, Quinten Joyner is he's a special athlete. I'll start there, because his acceleration, he's like shot out of a cannon every time he touches the ball.
Yeah.
And anytime he touched the ball in USC, he looked like the best player in that backfield to me. And for whatever reason, I don't know, Lincoln Riley just hated him, but he never saw the field.
Yeah.
Here at Texas Tech, he's going to get a chance. He's going to step in. He's going to be the guy.
Right.
I don't think there's any question about that. He's getting the rock 15 to 20 times a game. If he's not, I'm going to be like, he's 5'11", 216. What's wrong here?
Great size. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
But, the 2 fumbles on his limited carries maybe speaks to that. Maybe there were some trust issues with his ball security, and, maybe there's some things that he needs to work on with regards to that. But, 22 missed tackles forced when you only have 465 yards and limited carries is an insane number. He was pacing, if he played a full snap, like 70 missed tackles forced. He's a joystick. He accelerates. He hits the edge. People can't touch him. So I'm really excited to see him with a full workload. I think he could easily jump into that top tier of the 2026 backs. But we have to see it, because we haven't had a chance to see it yet. So what do you think about Quinten Joyner?
So this time last season, we're doing, Devy drafts and C2C drafts, things of that nature. I remember texting our guy Doc Holliday, JT, and I was like, yo, I just watched Quinten Joyner's tape, and this guy is phenomenal. Like, he's probably the RB1 at USC. I thought he was better than Woody Marks. Every time I saw him on the field, I thought he was a better running back. Woody Marks looked good. I was shocked that he didn't see the field as much as he should have. But I'm absolutely stoked for him to go to Texas Tech, simply because we saw what Charles Brooks did at Texas Tech. And to be honest, he's a better running back than Charles Brooks. Charles Brooks, phenomenal. I'm taking the everywhere in rookie drafts, because he's a 4th, 5th round pick, whatever it is, late round draft pick. Phenomenal. But he's a bowling ball type of runner, which is great. He's in Cincinnati. Quinten Joyner has smooth vision. Or I should say, great vision. He has smooth moves, but he also has the ability to truck over you. He has the abilities to make a good cut and make defenders miss. He also has the ability to just say, "Hey, I'm gonna power through you." So I
Yeah.
want to see a little bit more in the pass catching. I think that's where Woody Morris kind of had him. He had a better pass catching ability, but Quinten Joyner was still a great running back. And as you mentioned, he's the guy at Texas Tech. I believe he is. The competition, again, camp could change things. I think he's the guy at Texas Tech. I think this is a season where we see him full time as a starter and the running back. Obviously, the 7.3 yards per carry might come down, but it wouldn't surprise me if in this season he has over 6.2, 6.3. That's how good of a runner he is. And when he gets running, he's kind of a juggernaut mentality where he just gets that momentum and just keeps going and going and going. So, absolutely love what we're going to see in Quinten Joyner. I'm stoked to see what it is. I have him in C2C leagues. I want to see him in more of my leagues. He's probably a Devy draft capital for me. I'm probably taking him maybe fourth, fifth round if we're thinking about the panel, who's on the board and what's sliding. But I think he does have some potential to be a running back you want on your team come this time next year as well.
Yeah, no, for
Now,
sure, especially if you value that proximity.
yeah. The size 2, 5'11, 210 is really 5'10, 5'11, 210, 215. That's there you want it. So he has that great size there for him that I think he could be really great. Now, this next guy, I actually had a hot take on my Devy Degen, so that this was going to be the leading rusher in the Big 12 simply because he's filled in a role that for a top guy that I enjoy too. That's going to be Kansas State running back Dylan Edwards. Now, he's smallest of them all, 5'9", 167. 2026 draft eligible, 247 composite rate, 4-star prospect, 12 games played, 6 games started, 7.4 yards per carry, 546 yards, 307 yards after contact, 5 touchdowns, 20 missed tackles, and 1 fumble. What are your thoughts on Dylan Edwards?
Yeah, Dylan Edwards, as you said, we're going to talk about the size because you can't get past that.
Yeah.
He needs to add a little bit of weight. If he can get to 175, 180, I'm confident he can have a good role in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's lightning quick. I mean, he stops and turns on a dime. He makes guys miss. I think he's better than Deuce Vaughn who came out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think he's better of those small guys, and he's a very good pass catcher.
Yeah.
So your hope is that he's the next Dylan Sproles type with his size, but
yeah,
he could be, because I think he's a really special athlete. He comes in and he makes big plays happen. He breaks away. He's fast. He's quick. I mean, all of those things show up. I mean, that's sort of what you want. That's sort of what you need. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you said he's the leading rusher in the Big 12. I mean, how do we see that happen? Talk to me about
really. It comes to the size and offense he's in. They lost DJ Giddens, who was their guy, but DJ Giddens was a whole different type of play style. He was, I think, over 6 foot, over 220 or something like that. Definitely play style. You brought up Darren Sproles. You can't help but look at the size and think, okay, can he be it? And then you watch the tape and you're like, okay, he's using his size to make defenders miss. He's using his speed that comes with his size to make defenders miss. Now you throw him into an offense that has Avery Johnson, who I even mentioned is probably a better wildcat type of quarterback. You have this combination in the backfield where if you have Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, who gets the ball, either one, they're both pretty quick on their feet to go out there and get 5 or 10 yards and make some big plays happen. So I actually think because of his speed, because of his size, a lot of teams aren't going to account for him as far as just getting up to him, and he's going to be zooming past them and getting some big plays. So when I say leading rusher, I just be like, I said all purpose in my hot take, what I'm thinking about now. So all purpose yards, but because his pass catching ability as well. I said leading rushers here, so that's what I'm just clarifying. In my actual hot take, I said all purpose yards, but it's because he has the ability to be a great pass catcher and be a good runner because of his size and speed. So I think he could lead the Big 12 in all purpose yards for the running back position, because they could use him in multiple formats, especially because of his size. He go out there and be the slot and be a small slot for them, but yet he's fast enough to get down the field quickly for Avery Johnson to throw a quick dart there. But then you also throw in Jayce Brown, open it up for him, or different things they could really use. I hope they really package him in different scenarios, because, of course, he's not your 3-down back. He's not the guy that just goes in and does those kind of things as well. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for him to go out there and do some great things and really step up and be the next type of running back at that level as well. So I'll be excited to see what he can do for it as well. Oh, Spencer's coming back. Welcome back. I'll be excited to see what Dylan Edwards could do because I think there is some opportunity for him as far as Devy draft capital. Later picks. The Big 12, it's hard, man. When you're taking these Devy draft capital, I love him in C2C. Devy draft capital, he's definitely falling, but he's going to be someone that I'm watching this season because he has sleeper potential as well.
Yeah, I don't know what that blip was, but I know you were hyping him up. No, I think C2C, as you said, he's definitely the guy in C2C. But in Devy, I'd take a late flyer on him because I do think he's an extremely talented. And I mean, I want to paint a picture for you, and let's see how high he goes in rookie drafts if this happens.
Yeah.
He comes out, he's got, next year he rushes for 800 yards, he's got 600 through the air.
Yep.
And even he throws on 400 for punt return, kick return as well. So he goes out as a great year.
Yeah.
He has a 4.32 at the combine. He runs a 6.7 3-cone.
So he strings on my heart.
So he comes out, shows out. The joystick is there. And then Sean Payton goes and says, "Hey, I remember Darren Sproles. I'm going to take this guy in the 3rd round."
We saw it happen with RJ Harvey, right? We saw what landing spots can do when you see the Colts get their guy, and then you can only hope, hey, I remember Darren Sproles. I think that's really gonna be the mindset. Even before we get to the combine, if he goes out and put those numbers up, people are gonna start to think, oh, now you brought up Deuce Vaughn, fantastic example, because people were high on Deuce Vaughn. But guess what? It wasn't much on Deuce Vaughn's talent. More so in the team didn't know how to use him. When he got drafted by the Cowboys, they were struggling to use a running back, and they really didn't even use Deuce Vaughn when they needed a running back. And at that situation, it's like, bro, you have a guy that can go out there and burn guys with his eyes closed, and you don't even have him on the field. Like, why are you playing a washed-out Zeke when Deuce Vaughn is right there ready for you? And that goes into a situation where Dylan Edwards can have a phenomenal season. That's, again, the hype he deserves. But it's definitely going to depend on the landing stop on where we're taking him in those rookie drafts. Because if he goes somewhere to say the Cowboys again, if he goes to that, then it's like, okay, what's happening? If he goes to Denver, phenomenal Sean Payton there, because we know Sean Payton knows how to use the running backs to their playmaking ability. He's not using a running back as a 3-down back or just a pass catching back. He's using them for their strengths. That's why so many people are high on RJ Harvey, because Sean Payton is a wizard when it comes to utilizing his running back. So Dylan Edwards could be that guy. And day 3, the capital, I mean, you're probably talking mid-second round, possibly. If not higher at that. If he goes day 2, I mean, and let's say he goes day 2, beginning of the 3rd, then you're looking at early second, and potentially he may get the hype that he goes late first. I mean, this next class isn't, we say it loud, we say it every year, but I mean, it's not as depth as the running back position. So this may be the gold mine you want, because if he's a higher draft capital, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go take him because the depth isn't there as well for the running backs. Now, we went through our quarterbacks, we went through our wide receivers, went through our running backs. Next, we're going to show you our rankings and talk to you a little bit about them, but let's put up the rankings here. My rankings first, we did Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt, Arizona State wide receiver Jordyn Tyson. Reason why I have Leavitt slightly higher, I know I talked higher on Jordyn Tyson. The injuries do scare me. I want to see him go out there and just compete and ball out without any kind of injury concern. Just go out there and do your thing. And Tyson will likely slip up. I know we have it flipped up there. Then I have Quinten Joyner. Man, he should have been the RB1 at USC. I thought he was phenomenal. Probably would have stayed at USC if he did. I think he's going to do great things at Texas Tech. Kansas State, Jayce Brown. Absolutely love his game. Think he's really good. Everything he does, Jordyn Tyson does just slightly a little bit better, but Jayce Brown is on Waltz. Colorado, Kaidon Salter, I think is phenomenal at Colorado. I think this is an opportunity for him to showcase, hey, what I did at Liberty, like you said, 2003, I could do, or 2023, I could do now at this Big 12 level as well. Baylor, Bryson Washington, as I said, probably one of the most all-around backs in the Big 12. I know I have Joyner higher, but Bryson Washington might be more all-around that you want. I absolutely love Texas Tech, Caleb Douglas. I'm a sucker for those big body wide receivers. I think Douglas, if he gets all his tools right, he could be someone we want to watch just because he can use his size to his advantage. Arizona State, Kanye Udoh, think he's great, speed rusher, someone I absolutely love and want to see what he's going to do at Arizona State, especially stepping into that Cam Scatterby role. BYU, Chase Roberts, as I said, I feel I'm too low on him after talking to him, and this happens all the time. You talk it out loud, and you're like, wait, this guy should be higher. Honestly, I might put him as my 5 now that I'm thinking about it. I absolutely love Chase Roberts after watching more and more of his game. And Iowa State wide receiver Chase Sowell, I love him at East Carolina. I want to see what he does at Iowa State. I think he can take the role by surprise and be one of the top guys that we're looking at in rookie drafts come this time next season as well. Talk to us about your guys.
Yeah, so as we said, we have the Arizona State guys flipped. So I got Jordyn Tyson number 1 and Sam Leavitt number 2. I think Jordyn Tyson's just a little safer for me. But go get your quarterbacks. So if you think Leavitt, like I do, is going to be a first round guy, I mean they're interchangeable for me. It really is a pick your poison. Then I have Jayce Brown. There's a steep drop off for me right there.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Jayce Brown, I think he's going to be a great in the next level. Your slot receiver. I really like him. Want to see a step forward. Then Quinten Joyner, could be in that the RB3 of this class.
Yeah.
Maybe even he's RB2 if things don't go great for the top 2 guys.
Right.
And then same thing, Bryson Washington. Very similar to me. I love the contact balance. I love the pass catching ability, the versatility. It's a little bit small, but in the modern NFL, he's pretty good size.
Right.
Then there's another drop right there for me, and then this is where it gets real dicey. You got Colorado's Kaidon Salter. I really like what he did 2 years ago. He was being talked about as, this is the number 1 guy in the class coming up.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't so great. So hopefully he rebuilds that value. He shows us why we were talking about him as a first round quarterback. And he can bring it back, get the rushing back, get the passing back to where it was. And all of a sudden he's back right in there.
Right.
Then Avery Johnson, as good a rusher as he can get in a quarterback, needs to get the passing going. Chase Sowell, we talked about it. He's that big guy for Iowa State, steps into a great situation here. I really think he can take a step forward. Maybe he won't. I still think he's always going to get drafted. Yeah. Then Jay Retzlaff, he's a gamer, man. He's a gamer. He's going to come out. Yeah. He's got a rocket arm, as you said. He's a true leader of men, and that's something that you love to see in your quarterbacks. The NFL always seems to love these guys. I'm getting Tyler Shuck images floating through my head. So.
Yeah. For sure.
And then, at number 10, Kansas State, Dylan Edwards. Your bold prediction, he's leading in all-purpose yards. My bold prediction is I think he's getting good draft capital.
There you go.
In spite of that size. So, he's got to have a good year. He's got to come out and show that he's, a versatile weapon. He's, and truly a versatile weapon. Can get downfield a little, play the slot, get between the tackles, hit the outside hard, and he needs a good combine. But if all of those things align, you're looking at as you said, maybe he's a first rounder in your rookie drafts because somebody puts him in a spot where you're like, wait a minute, he can catch 80 balls.
Right.
And that's something not every running back can do. So those are my ranks. And general thoughts on the Big 12 here. How many of the, how confident are you in these guys hitting your Devy, going from your Devy rosters to your NFL rosters?
To be honest, probably just the top 3 is the top 3 I'm most confident in. Then I go into Jayce Brown, Kaidon Salter. Really, no, okay, let's reframe that. Top 3 I'm most confident. I think I could get these on my Devy roster, bro. I'd be comfortable taking them. Jayce Brown, I'm starting to question. I'm like, okay, this is where I'm really deep diving into the board to see, all right, who's available there. Kaidon Salter, that if it's a deep Devy draft in that game, I'll be ecstatic. But really, when we get to the 5 and below for me, those are guys I want to see more in the C2C style, more so than the Devy for it, because I think they can go out there and do some great things at that level as well. On college side, where at the pro side, I'm still going to want to see it. And actually, I'm saying that Chase Roberts again, looking at it, talking it through, I'm putting Chase Roberts. You're seeing it here live. I'm putting Chase Roberts up on my rankings here. He's going to be at the 5 spot. And, man, I might put him above Jayce. I'm thinking out loud now. This is really going here. I really like Chase Roberts. So I really do like Jayce Roberts. I need to go watch more of his tape. That's really what it comes down to. And all these guys watch more of their tape and see what they're about. But I absolutely do love Jayce Roberts. I think Jayce Roberts is going to be a great prospect at that next level. And I'm excited to see what he could do. So I would take him and Devy now that I'm thinking on the later rounds. We've done 3 conferences already, and those 3 conferences alone could fill our first 3 rounds of a Devy draft. So these guys are more of your 4th, 5th type of round. Jordyn Tyson, he's going, round 2. Leavitt, round 2 as well. So those are 2 guys that stay up there. Quinten Joyner, you're looking more in the later, round 4, round 5, possibly there. And then, as I said, Jayce Roberts, I need to start taking him more now that I think about it. He's probably available in RC2C. I need to go grab him. But no, I absolutely love him. And yeah, I mean that's my takes. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think for me, I feel really confident to 5. I think I like Jayce Brown a little bit more than you. As an NFL guy, I'm pretty confident there, and same with Quinten Joyner and Bryson Washington. I'm pretty confident they're going to hit our rosters, and given the proximity of their getting drafted, they're going to hit my rosters, and then I can take some shots at the 2029 class, 2028, lingerers in your supplemental drafts.
Right.
But Kaidon Salter is about where I start to get wishy-washy. But I will say, talking on Jayce Roberts, you did talk me into him. I'd have to find a way. Honestly, I think I'd bump Retzlaff off the list and slot him in right at 9. Keep the BYU where it is.
There you go.
But so not quite as bullish, but he could easily jump up to, number 3 here within the first couple weeks of the season. So
I'm gonna start saying you Jayce Roberts highlights just so you get hype about him. I mean.
Yeah,
you'll start to see
just manifest. I'll start dreaming about him. I'll be like this guy.
The random text messages I just sent you randomly at night, like, hey, check this guy out. I'll start saying you Jayce Roberts there.
Yeah.
No, I mean the Big 12, as we mentioned, we went through 4 different conferences. We talked about the SEC, we went into the Big 10, we went to the ACC, and now we went into the Big 12. Definitely talent all around the nation, as we're doing that. One prospect we did talk about was Jeremiah Love. We'll hit on him a little bit next episode. We're actually gonna episode next week is going to be called Teach Me How to Devy. And what we're going to do there is actually do a 5-round Devy draft for y'all on how we would approach it based on some teams we already have. So we're assuming we did our rookie drafts. This is a full start for a Devy draft. We're going to give you our teams, and we're going to show you, all right, this is how we would approach the draft based on the draft picks that we had, based on this current team or this current roster that we had. So it's going to be exciting. We're going to give y'all some strategies on what we're doing in our Devy. You don't want to miss this. This is kind of a Devy 101 on this next episode on what we're doing as far as drafting and how we're pursuing the Devy draft. But, until next time, I am S.C. Romero. That's my guy Spencer signing off for the FFU and the Devy Planet. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Shout out to everyone in the Tadpole Bowl joining in that conference for the SFB and everyone that's joining the Scott Fish Bowl as well. Are you in Scott Fish, Ray?
I am in Scott Fish. I'll be live drafting in Boston. So if you'll be up there, hit me up. Let's connect. There
you go. Our guy at Bugwild Sports, hit him up on X if you'll be at the live draft in Boston. I'm in the Tadpole Bowl. I haven't made SFB yet, but I am in the Tadpole Bowl for Oregon. So shout out my Ducks, and we're going to see what we do in college. But again, until next time, for everyone at the FFU, for myself and Spencer, we'll see y'all later. Peace.